3 tips to grow spiritually. Many of you all are very strong spiritually. I know that. Sometimes people ask, well, what do I need to do to help me grow in my connection with God? So I have 3 real practical tips. One I was given and one that I've put to practice for years and years is the first one is to read a chapter of the Bible a day and to start with Matthew, the New Testament. Bill Johnson talks about read a chapter a day, starting with Matthew, get through Acts, and then go back to Matthew and just do that. Like that's the center of Scripture. So that's everything else is sort of built around that. So if that becomes the centerpiece, and so you would read one chapter a day, and then you would also ask yourself the question, what is the message for me today? So as you're reading, you're just asking that simple question, what is the message for me today? So there's the wisdom of the scripture, but then there's the personal application. And so that's where that piece comes in, is what is the message to me today? And then obviously, whatever the message is, implement it, do it, activate it, activate it. That's the first tip. The second tip has to do with true self-work. And that is to take a spiritual truth, find a spiritual truth, and repeat it 10 times in a day. Like you could take a spiritual truth such as God is love. And then I would just repeat that. God is love. God is love. I would just repeat it 10 times. But I would also, as I'm chewing on it and repeating it, I'm thinking about how does that apply? How does that apply to me? That means he loves me. That means he loves my neighbor. It means he loves my other neighbor who I am at odds with. And so what does that mean to me? You're just kind of chewing on that reality. And when you take a spiritual truth and you repeat it over and over again, there's a chewing on it, and it goes from in your mind and it starts to get down lower into a cellular level, right? It starts to penetrate us and it starts to become us. Often I lived at a monastery for, I guess, 2.5 years going to school, St. Joseph Abbey. At the time, there was about 50 monks that lived there. They basically dedicated their lives to prayer and work under the rule of Saint Benedict, who lived back in the 700s and wrote a specific rule. But it's really pretty intriguing, the lifestyle. It's a very unique calling. But one of the things that they talk often about is meditation. And meditation being Western meditation, biblical meditation, is to murmur something over and over again. That's different than Eastern meditation. Eastern meditation is about emptying your mind of everything and then receiving whatever's out there. And hopefully what you receive is good. But Western meditation is based on actually getting hold of a spiritual truth, getting hold of that and murmuring it over and over. So it's a very active intellectual process, right? Because I'm murmuring, I'm thinking about it, I'm chewing on it, I'm eating it. I remember one of my spiritual directors, we had to have a spiritual director when we were in the seminary, Father Bill, and he said it's like you're just like a cow in the field, you're just chewing on it, and it's like cut, and it goes down, and it comes, and it goes down, and it comes, and basically you're just chewing on this spiritual truth. And so I remember when I was in the seminary, I was really vigilant about trying to apply meditation. I would get a spiritual truth, and I had one of those watches that would beep every hour. And every hour that it would beep off, I would think about that spiritual truth. And so it was just an attempt to get it integrated. So that's the second tip, is to take a spiritual truth, something that is speaking to you. Sometimes you can find that when you're reading scripture, something could jump off the page. It could be you're reading Mark's gospel and he says, fear not, only believe. And all of a sudden it jumps off the page. And so you take that very simple thought, you just chew on it, you repeat it 10 times. So that's the second thing you could do. Transform You is an intensive online coaching program that Holly Kim and I lead. It's for individuals and couples. If you're interested in exploring whether it's right for you, Click on the link below and book a call, and we'll see if this is a good program for you. Now back to the teaching. The third is, it's kind of a general principle, but it's a very important one, is to practice kindness. Kindness is being gentle, right? It's being kind, it's being loving. But think about it towards yourself. What would it look like for each one of you all to practice kindness towards your past? What would it look like to practice kindness towards yourself for your present and where you are? And what would it look like to practice kindness for your future? So really hitting all three senses of time. Even when I say that, there's sort of a shift and a relaxation that happens on the inside of me. It's like just being kind to myself and all aspects of myself. And then obviously on the outside, practicing kindness towards others, towards events that have happened in the past, towards other people, towards people that you really care about, and towards people that get under your skin. Like, what does it look like to practice kindness? And I think that that's, even though that's a practical idea, a practical principle, it really helps us grow in our spiritual life. I remember when one of the things that comes to mind, I guess I was thinking of John Paul II. He was a pope of the Catholic Church. I was in the seminary when he came to New Orleans, so I actually got to shake his hand. I was like, oh, I shook the hand of the Pope, you know. But anyway, he had an assassination attempt when he was in Rome. That was before they put the glass around the little Pope mobile. But he had an assassination attempt, and I remember after that attempt, he insisted on going to the prison, and he insisted meeting alone with the person that tried to assassinate him. And he met with him, and he was just treated him with kindness, you know, and the guy was nonviolent towards him, and there was this, I would imagine, a moment of reconciliation. But I was just thinking, you know, that's a pretty tall tale, you know. Someone tries to shoot you and kill you, and you go and just practice kindness. But there was something about that act that did something, I think, between him and the person. But you just don't know the rippling effect of that on so many different levels because he's such a high profile figure, and doing something that, you know, some of you all who are familiar with Mother Teresa and some of her work, you know, working in India with the deaf and dying. And she didn't really have a revelation of Jesus as healer. She had a revelation of Jesus as being compassionate. So she didn't really see, she didn't really, she wasn't really believing for healing for the people, the deaf and the dying that she was working with. But she just really had the revelation of what does it mean to be kind to the untouchables. And there was something that was, you know, sort of an obscure ministry that she had in a remote part of the world, but she got so much exposure because it was such a powerful spiritual activation in some sense that impacted people. So my encouragement is to practice kindness. And this is all about true self-empowerment. This is all about, you know, when you activate and make your true self more stronger, guess what it does to the other two? It deactivates them on some level. It takes some of the power away. It it becomes a deterrent to the growth and to the taking over of our wounds and our coping behavior. So there you go. 3 tips for improving your spiritual life of your true self connection with the Lord. Hey, thank you for watching this teaching from Transform You. I hope it's been beneficial for you. If you're interested in our program, Transform You, our online intensive coaching program, click on the link below, book a call with us, and we can see if this is the right program for you. Also, if you want more information about Hollychem and I and the program in general, click on this video now, and it'll give you an in-depth understanding of Hollychem and I and our program. God bless.